My reaction is that if I were one of the national leaders in one of perhaps a now three-front war that Trump has launched against them on trade, I would be wondering, why do I want to do a deal with the United States if we do a deal and yet the tariffs could still come back? They have to be thinking that in Beijing. I think this creates tremendous uncertainty, not just with the future of U.S. trade relations, but look, remember yesterday's GDP report? That business investment number was not very good. And if the Chinese tariffs are already perhaps suppressing business investment, this will only make that worse.
We got to remember the tariffs do not go into effect for another 10 days, June 10th. Is there a chance they never go into effect? Is there a chance that Mexico can do something that would placate President Trump, where he would delay or cancel this idea?
I think it's likely those 5% go in effect. But, there's like a seasonality with these immigration flows. So they may decline naturally as we get, closer to fall. So the president could easily say, listen, I've talked to the Mexican government and already we're seeing the impact. But if you read that letter from the Mexican president to Washington that they just put out, that was not one of the beautiful letters that the president likes to hear from foreign leaders. That was a very confrontational letter, and he has a domestic audience he needs to appeal to, just like other foreign leaders do, and I doubt they're just going to cave. And again, I'm not sure what they can do. I mean, I think it's a difficult problem, and if it was easy to solve, it would have been solved.
And I guess the irony is, Jimmy, that if these tariffs go into effect, and if the Mexican economy, like the market may be suggesting, is indeed hurt, wouldn't Mexico then have less economic resources with which to fight this battle that they're fighting, particularly on their own southern border? Immigrant flows could actually grow because Mexico would lose resources to battle their own needs.
Listen, the U.S. and Mexican economies and fates are highly intertwined. And bad news for Mexico, you're exactly right. If you want to actually increase flows, this would be a great way to do it. Hurt the Mexican economy, and more people will flee north to U.S. jobs and U.S. opportunities here. It doesn't make a whole lot of economic sense on the trade front, nor does it make a whole lot of sense on the immigration front.
Do you think this might finally prompt Congress to try to limit President Trump's authority on trade? Listen,
I think you would have lost a lot of money betting that the Congress is going to limit the president's authority on any number of issues. This is a big one. It really looks like he is misusing sort of this national security component just to be able to create unilateral tax increases, which is what these tariffs are. I still think it's doubtful that could get by a Mitch McConnell-led Senate.
When we started the Trump tenure, we had that CEO council every couple of weeks or months. Remember, they would come in and they would meet and whatever. That was dissolved primarily by the CEOs. If you're the CEO of a U.S. auto company or an auto parts company or a railroad, do you dare pick up the phone today, try to get in touch with the president and say, listen, Mr. President, we're already dealing with a lot of different things around the world. Now is not the time.
I think you could try that. I think given what the president's behavior with China, that he might say, are you not a patriotic CEO? We have patriotic farmers. Now it's time to have patriotic auto executives.
But here's the thing. If the president wants to recreate manufacturing and supply chain in the United States, that's well and good. The reality is, even if you're a U.S. company who wants to do that, Jimmy, there's no way you can do that in the next year, maybe the next 2 to 5 years.
Well, listen, I mean, that's sort of been the big question. To what degree does the president really want to do that? Certainly some of his advisors want to repatriate those supply chains all the way back to the United States. If that's what the president wants, then we are in for a world of economic hurt over the next few years. This isn't supposed to be about that. This is just supposed to be about immigration flows. We'll see if he broadens the picture.
Very quickly, how happy is China this morning?
If I'm President Xi, I turn around and say, listen, not my fault. We can't do a deal with this guy. If this thing blows up, it's because of Trump, not me.